this first part. Hey, everybody. Welcome, Sarah. Welcome, Jamie. Welcome, Meredith. Hi, Sarah. Nice to see you again. All right. We are just at the top of the hour. So I'm gonna dive in, and here we go. I'm honoring your time. So welcome to our masterclass, Credentials Matter, and this one changes the game. Jamie, I know you're in the New York area. Sarah, where are you located?
I'm in Greenville, South Carolina.
Oh, South Carolina. That's right. That's right. All right. So we got all like Central and East Coasters. All right. So first, I just want to say thank you. I know that you're taking time out of your workday, dinner, family time, self-care time to be here. Hi, Jamie. So I want to make sure this is worth your time. So let's go. So first, I think you know you're in the right place, but let's just be sure who this is for, who this masterclass is for. So maybe you have taken trainings, but you still don't feel ready to coach. You might be exploring health coaching, but you don't know where to start. You've heard of board certification, which I think is the case for most of us, but it sounds complicated or overwhelming or confusing. You're wondering if there's a difference between a certificate and certification. Tired of piecing it all together on your own. You want to feel like a real expert, not just have another piece of paper. A lot of us have had pieces of paper and we're like, but I don't really feel like I know what to do, right? So if you resonate with any of that, you're in the right place, and you're passionate about health and wellness. I assume you are if you're here. You went through or are going through your own health journey. That it brings a lot of us to health and wellness or somebody close to you. And you want the certification to match your passion to help others. So you are heart-centered, heart-led, you want to be of service, and you need that certification to match that passion so you can go out and be awesome in the world. So basically, if you have experience in health and wellness, this is for you. Yes, if you do not have experience in health and wellness, also yes, this is for you. So you're a yes or an also yes for this masterclass. So what you'll walk away with is the idea and understanding of why board certification matters and who it's for. So why is it important and is it for you? What it takes to earn board certification, like the real steps, the real process to get from where you are now to board certified, what to look for in a solid coach training program, why this investment actually pays off, and then how to move forward with clarity. So understanding your options and now moving forward with clarity. We will leave time at the end for Q&A, but if you have questions along the way, pop them in the chat and then we'll try to get to them as we go along as well. But we'll definitely leave time at the end for Q&A. So here's what some of our coaches, have said. This is what I thought, right? Like I keep wondering if I really need board certification. Is it worth the time and money? What if I go through all of this and I still don't feel confident enough to coach? It's a big investment, time, money, resources. I want to become a health coach, but the path feels overwhelming. Like, where do I even start? Every step feels like a guessing game. So this is what we hear from coaches. This is what I went through myself. And speaking of myself, who am I? So my name is Jill Beccaro. I'm the president and chief wellness officer of IHIS, or the Institute of Holistic Integrative Studies. I'm also the lead instructor and a board certified health and wellness coach. I have a Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology. I'm a graduate of a naturopathic doctor program. I've coached hundreds and hundreds of clients. I've taught many, many students. I'm a mom. I'm a travel fanatic. In fact, when I was going through my process of becoming a coach and board certified, I was on the road full time with my family. So living on a schoolie with my family, I finished my program, studied for the exam, took the exam, created this program. So I have a very soft spot in my heart for busy adult learners. And we'll talk about that more later. But I just wanted to know, like, that's me. Also, who I am is somebody who went through multiple programs and still didn't feel ready. I mean, I went through multiple programs and I was still like, I don't know what to say. What if they say this? What do I do if they're stuck, right? So I know what it feels like to feel like you're not there yet. Like, is it just one more credential, one more letter behind my name, one more certificate, one more specialty? I've been there. I feel it. I felt it. So I'm where you are. So I put together what I wish existed when I was figuring that all out. And that's what we're here to do today. So tell me what you want, what you really, really want. And if you get the connection to the picture, then you probably need reading glasses to read the rest of the slide because that is an old reference. But what I mean, exactly, I have contacts in. So what I mean about telling me what you want is, you've probably already been thinking, but to continue to think of what kind of experience do you want in a program, in getting board certified, in a career, what do you want the end result to be? So hopefully, I'm sure you started to think about that, but continue to think about that as we kind of go through what I feel you want. This is what I hear. This is what we know as, I know what I know as a coach, what I know as a board certified coach, what is it I know as an instructor. You want more than a certificate. You want a clear path. So an understanding of like, if I go in this direction, is that going to get me what I want? Credibility. So it's really frustrating to go through programs and be like, hey, nobody cares about what I just did, but I put in all this time and money and effort, and I'm still not acknowledged or credible. Confidence with real clients. So really like being able to put yourself out there like, hey, I can coach, I can help you. A legit career. It's fun to coach, but it would be nice to make money and not just, keep it as a hobby. You want to help people feel better because again, you're heart-centered, you're heart-led, and you want to know that you're actually qualified to do what you want to do. So is there anything else that you can think of? You can either come off mute, you can put it in the chat. Like, what do you really want? Or what have you been thinking of, as you look at your journey or your path to becoming a health coach? Is there anything I missed?
I'd like to learn how to convince people that this is what they need, that it is something that they need. I think sometimes this kind of stuff, self-care and making an investment in themselves is something that people hesitate to do.
I couldn't agree with you more. And we will talk about that. I think we'll touch on that a couple different times as we go through today. That's an excellent point. What else? Anything else? So again, here's what we hear from our graduates when we ask them to think back.
I'm sorry, I couldn't find my unmute button.
That's okay. Yes,
I know.
go.
I had mentioned to you when we spoke yesterday that I was looking for a way to incorporate a broader variety of clients by being able to incorporate insurance. Because a lot of people, the first thing that they're going to look for is, hey, can my insurance pay for this so I don't have to? And that's why I was looking in conjunction with a doctor that I work for something that would allow me to do that for the few insurance companies that cover it right now. But at least that's a start.
It's a start, yes. And it's going in a direction, I think, where that is just going to become more and more available for sure. And that's a great point as well. So yeah, when we asked our coaches to kind of think back to, when you were starting your journey, it's like, I need to know what to do. Like, what do I do first? And then what? Like, tired of piecing a million things together. And there's so many programs out there, like which ones are for real? I just want one that actually prepares me to be a coach, and not just a coach, a really good one, right? So what's getting in the way of that is confusing information everywhere. What do you believe? There's big, shiny programs. There's beautiful websites. There's promises. But what's behind that? Is it a program that's really going to get you where you want to go? Programs that don't prepare you for the real work. If you're just watching videos or you're just filling out worksheets, like that's not the real work, right? So programs that don't prepare you to sit in front of a client and have that conversation. Which leads me into experts who skip the how. So maybe they're an influencer, maybe they're even well-known in the health and wellness industry, but are they showing you how to coach? Are they showing you how to be a successful coach? Thousands and thousands and sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, and no clear map, from passion to profession. You also hear too, you do need certification. You don't need certification. Start now, start later. You better wait, right? So there's lots of things getting in the way. Is there anything else you can think of that's kind of getting in your way or stopping you from kind of going forward, taking that next step? This is enough of a blockade, so it's possible that's that's enough. um, so let's start talking about the hierarchy of healthcare. So if you're coming to this with another certification, degree, license, credential, this is going to be really relevant. But also there's a lot of terminology floating around when it comes to health and wellness. Certified, certificate, approved, registered, licensed. Like, how do what you really need? So we're going to talk about the hierarchy of healthcare. So first we have certificate. So a certificate is issued when you complete a training or a non-degree program. So you take a program, you take a course, you complete it, and you get a certificate of completion. So we have certificate. Oops. Next we have certification. So a certification is permission to practice within a standardized criteria, within a lane, a scope of practice, right? So you get certification and you have permission to practice this certain amount of information. It's granted by a non-government agency. So it's an entity, an organization, but a non-government that grants this certification. It's typically time limited, meaning it requires ongoing or continuing education to retain. Which is a good thing, because if you have a certification and you're promoting yourself as being certified or board certified, for example, you want to communicate that you are up to date on the latest. So my dad was a mechanic my whole life, and he chose not to get any education aside from when he was first learning. And so he eventually kind of slivered himself into this tiny group of cars that he could work on, because he wasn't up to date on the electronics, the computers, the technology that was being added to cars. So he eventually kind of like worked himself out of a job. So we don't want to do that as coaches. We always want to be, maintaining what's new. And if you've been in health and wellness for more than 5 minutes, it changes every 5 minutes, right? So we really want to keep up on the trends and what's known and what are we finding out. So there's usually continuing education. And it's also overseen by an advisory board. So certification has an advisory board. So a group of individuals that, create the exam, they come up with the competencies, the standards, they do the advocating. They're aware of the industry trends, updates. So that's certification. So we have certificate, we have certification, and finally we have license. So license is also permission to practice. But it's typically granted by government agency and typically at the state level. So you are a licensed medical doctor in the state of Georgia, for example. Education and other eligibility requirements, along with passing an assessment. So there's certain schools that you can go to that, that are accredited to, be a licensed medical doctor, and then, an assessment. Also time limited, requires ongoing and continued education. And what differentiates this from certification is that it prohibits non-licensed people from practicing. So you can't just practice being a medical doctor if you're not a licensed medical doctor. You can't even be like an insurance agent or a real estate agent unless you're licensed. So you can't practice unless you're licensed, which is different than certification, because you can be, for example, a health coach, or you can be a board certified health coach. So you can practice outside of it, but the certification is another level. So the hierarchy is usually license, certification, certificate. So if you can kind of picture this as a health, ladder, the license is the top rung. So you're fully authorized to practice by law. Certification is in the middle, very highly respected, earned through a rigorous, training program, tough exam, but not legally required. And then you have certificate, which is your first step, the education that gets you started climbing. So with that in mind, we're going to really talk about the certification today with kind of a minor in certificate. So we're going to focus on this certificate and certification in this masterclass. So what comes to mind when you think of somebody being board certified? You can come off mute, you can put it in the chat. When you hear somebody is board certified, what comes to mind? What words, what thoughts, what ideas?
I think of someone, an expert in a certain field, knowledgeable, up to date with the trends, someone I could trust.
Yeah, exactly. Any other ideas? Respectable, professional, accountable. Perfect. Yes. Reliable, kind of top cream of the crop, right? Vetted, standards. And board certification goes beyond, healthcare, right? It's the gold standard across professions. You can be board certified, like lawyer, engineers, financial planners. So it means you've met particular and often very high standards. So when we talk about the board, being board certified, like who the heck is this board anyway? So the board that we're talking about with regards to health coaching is the NBHWC, or the National Board for Health and Wellness Coaching. And who they are, or what they are, is the leading organization advancing the field of health and wellness coaching. So they are there leveling up the health coaching profession. They set very high standards for coach training and certification. So they are the ones that put those standards into place, that kind of come up with the competencies and that exam. So they administer the national board exam for health and wellness coaches. They ensure coaches are qualified to support real, lasting behavior change. So again, it's not just a piece of paper, it's not just an exam. You really need to know how to guide your clients to sustainable change, to how, we're really behavior change experts. Importantly, the board builds public trust by certifying skilled, ethical, and effective professionals. So Sarah, this is kind of leading, I think, to what you were saying, which is like, or Jamie, like you just want more people to know that like this is needed, right? Like you need us. And committed to raising the bar and the visibility of the coaching profession. So let's think about, those of us here probably know what a health coach is, but if you think about the people in your life, how many people know what a health coach is, could really tell you what a health coach is? Hardly anybody. Hi. um, and I
They
love,
equate it to a personal trainer
yes,
kind of thing.
yeah, exactly. What do you do? Do you give supplements? And I love, health and wellness. I live it, I breathe it, but it can be the Wild West to somebody on the outside. It can be the Wild West even if you're on the inside, but it can be the Wild West or on the outside, because there's health coaches that are personal trainers. There's health coaches that are yoga instructors. There's health coaches that do meal planning, that do energy work, that work at the essential oils, that provide supplements. So if we put ourselves in the shoes of a potential client or customer consumer, how would you know what a health coach does? It'd be really hard. And so it's like, what am I going to get out of it? I just don't even know. Forget it. All right. I'm going to go to my doctor because I know what they do. We know what dentists do. We know what accountants do. That's easy to describe. But what the board is doing is really helping to standardize and make known what a health coach is. So in time, people are gonna be like, oh, I know what a health coach is. I mean, they'll have their specific niche, they'll have their specialty, but basically we all know what a health coach does. So that's the board and kind of who they are. We should probably take a moment to talk about what is a health coach, right? So this is just a definition that I think hits on most of the points, or all of the points that really encompass the idea of a health coach. Trained professional, an expert in behavior change who partners with clients to create sustainable lifestyle improvements and behavior changes so they can feel better, take control of their health, and reach their goals without being told what to do. So is there anything here that stands out to you? Good, bad, or surprising? Seems good? All right. Basically, we help people make changes when it's not easy to make change. If it was easy to make change, they wouldn't need us. They'd just make the change, right? So coaches partner with clients to help them make changes.
One question though, can
Yeah.
we suggest certain things like herbs or I don't know,
So,
certain vitamins, supplements? I know that we can't not prescribe, but
mhm,
can we suggest, or how does that, do you teach us the verbiage to
we
use so that we
do.
stay in our scope?
Yes, it's an excellent question because what we talk about a lot as health coaches is being client-centered. And as you can see that last line saying, without being told what to do, right? Well, wait a minute. What do you mean they're the expert? What do you mean they're client, it's client-centered, they're leading the way? Like, we're not going to tell them anything. Of course, we're going to share information because we've just been in it. We're experienced. We know our arena. So there is absolutely a way to share information and stay in the scope of practice. And we talk about that pretty specifically and pretty often in the program. So you're right, we can't prescribe, but we can have a conversation about what an herb does, what a supplement or a vitamin has been known to do, right? And then, of course, incorporating other professionals that they might want to run this by if they're seeing a medical doctor, et cetera, just to make sure there's no contraindications. But yeah, we definitely talk about that in great detail because it's very natural for us to want to share information. We have information, they want information. So we do that while staying in the scope of practice for sure. So back to the board and what makes this particular board so special. There's lots of boards out there. There's lots of board certifications out there. But what makes this one so special is that the NBHWC, which is the Board for Health Coaches, partnered with the National Board of Medical Examiners, which is the NBME, to develop and administer the Health and Wellness Coach Certification exam. The NBME is the same organization that creates board exams for physicians in the US. So this collaboration between the NBHWC and the NBME ensures that the certification meets high professional standards, but not only that, it's recognized across healthcare settings. So there really is no other board certification in kind of the health and wellness space that's quite like this for health coaches. So that is, allowing us more collaborations, more partnerships, more job opportunities. It's not just a fluffy credential, it has real credibility. And this partnership is part of what makes it so incredible and so powerful. So our board, NBME coming together to really, explode the profession of health coaching. So here's some more thoughts from our graduates about the legitimacy and the credibility of this board certification. So one said, I legit had a doctor email me asking me to partner, like what? This board certification actually works. And another one said, Cherie said, I want to let you know this past week, I was hired as a health coach for a company that works with insurance. Thanks to that certification, I'm officially a virtual health coach, a real job with benefits and everything. And I included the LOL because she couldn't even believe it. So this is a real credible certification that is going to allow you to really do the work that you want to do. It's wonderful if you're a wonderful coach, but if you have no clients or you can't get a job, you're not really serving to the capacity that you want to. So what we know about health and wellness is that the need for lifestyle and behavior change is paramount in supporting health. The health challenges today are complex and they usually require more than a medication or a procedure. It's really about the foundational lifestyle and behavior changes. We also know that a person is a whole person. So connections between food and movement and emotion and sleep and relationships and past experiences, work environment, home environment, all play a role in who a person is and how well they're doing or how not well they're doing, right? So we see people as a whole person. Sustainable change is the goal. Anybody can do anything for 7 days, and a lot of people can do anything for 30 days. But what happens on day 8 and what happens on day 31? Right? You slide right back in. There's no like entrance ramp to normal life anymore. So we know that sustainable change is the goal, and always asking, is this something you can do for the rest of the year, for the next 5 years, for the rest of your life? Most people know what to do, they're just not doing it. So they say knowledge is power, which is true, but I think it's really half the story. Because if knowledge was power and that was it, we wouldn't be in the health crisis that we're in. Because most people, I think, have an idea of what to do. Like, should drink a little more water, should maybe have a vegetable or two, cut back on the sugar, I should probably move my body, but they're not, right? So there's a space, there's a gap between knowledge and action, right? Knowing what to do and actually doing it. And that is a prime space for health coaches to come in and provide support. And also, people need someone to come alongside them as they make changes. People like accountability, support, guidance when they're going to make a change. They want to do something different. If you think about, if you were traveling to a foreign country and you wanted to go on a hike, wouldn't it be nice to have a guide? Somebody telling you like, oh, if you want to go to the water, you should take this route. If you want to go up to the top of the peak, you should take this route. Do you want something that's kid friendly? Do you want something that's really hard? Do you want to camp overnight? Do you want a day trip? And then helping you along the way. Yes, Jamie, picking through misinformation out there is overwhelming for most people. I could not agree with you more. And any side of the fight that you want, you can find somebody to prove your point, right? You can find a study article, you can find an influencer, you can find a doctor. So it's really difficult to know, what's what. So those are things that we know about health and wellness in general and our potential clients. The other thing we know is that the market is changing. The health and wellness market, the healthcare market is changing. So healthcare is becoming a team sport, and health coaches are now part of that team. They're part of the care team to help improve outcomes, to reduce costs, to make care more patient-centered. Certified health coaches are in high demand, especially in settings that partner directly with doctors and medical teams. If you're a hospital, a clinic, a provider, why would you take a chance on bringing somebody in that isn't board certified, that hasn't gone through rigorous testing, right? That hasn't met high standards. So certified health coaches are in high demand. The system is strained. The healthcare system is very strained. There aren't enough doctors, nurse practitioners, and physician assistants are overwhelmed, and wait times are growing. I have countless clients that are waiting 2 months, 4 months for a doctor's appointment. And these are serious issues. These are for cardiologists. These are for oncologists. I mean, it's really crazy. So if we take health coaches really have an opportunity to take some of the stress off of the medical system. Since we were talking about so many of the health challenges are complex and really need lifestyle and behavior changes, we can do that. And the medical system can do the things that they're good at, like surgery is an acute, diagnosis. I always say, if I'm in a car accident, please don't take me to a master herbalist. I'd like to go to the hospital. So there is a time and a place. And we have, as health coaches, have an opportunity to come in and kind of like relieve some of the stress. And lifestyle medicine, not just in coaching, but lifestyle medicine is gaining traction. So there's an American College of Lifestyle Medicine that are full of providers that realize that focusing on behavior-based approaches is the key to preventing, managing, and even reversing chronic disease. And health coaches are playing a key part. And Sarah wrote, and now they make a pill with side effects that promises they will lose weight and minimizes the side effects. I know. I think the stat is it's around 40% of medications are given to combat side effects of other medications. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Unless you've been in the system, then that's probably very believable. So the market is changing in healthcare, and the market is actually changing for health coaching specifically. So the US health coaching market was valued at almost $7.5 billion in 2023. And in just a few years, it'll be almost 11 billion. Globally, around 20 billion last year. There's about 12,000 board certified health coaches in the US and about 128,000 practicing coaches. So what's important about that is board certified coaches are less than 10% of coaches. So there's a real gap between credentialed and uncertified coaches. And so this really translates into an opportunity for those prepared to invest in it to rise to the top. And again, when we're talking about, the need in healthcare, we'll talk about some more statistics as we go through. The board certified coaches are the ones getting the jobs. They're the ones getting the opportunities, the referrals, the partnerships, the collaboration, the speaking opportunities. There's 330 million people in the US and there's only 12,000 board certified coaches. We should be busy, right? And so I think to your point, Sarah and Jamie, is that, we need to kind of alert them that, here's what we do and here's what you need and here's how we can help. And we actually talk about that in our program, which is like, how do you tell people what you do? So they're like, oh yeah, I need that, right? Because if we're stumbling over our words because we don't really know what a health coach does, or we don't know really how to describe what we're doing, it's going to be really hard to get people to be like, oh yeah, I need that, right? But when we're clear and we talk about, who do you want to coach? What problem do you want to solve, right? So we talk about that in our program. Almost 90% of large US employers prefer certified coaches. Again, why would they take a risk? If they're a big company and you want to initiate a wellness incentive or initiative, you want to bring in a coach for your, your employees, why would you risk bringing somebody in that's not board certified, right? And 70+% of employers require or encourage certifications. So it's not like we think it's neat. It's like we require it or we encourage you to get it once you're on board. And just to illustrate some of that, I went on Indeed over the weekend and there's over 7,000 jobs when I typed in health coach. And most of them require some sort of certification. So certified, certification, board certification. So really the opportunity, whether you want to own your own practice, partner, contract, work for somebody, opportunities are there with the board certification. And just one more thing to point out. So according to the CDC, 60% of Americans have at least one chronic disease and 40% have two or more. 91% of patients said they need more help with chronic disease management. So health coaches may be unaware of the roles they play in a doctor's office. I would agree, right? But there is a need. So again, just another opportunity for coaches. So with all that, we kind of have the layout. How does it work? How do we go from where we are now to get board certified? So let's go through the process. So first, you want to find a board approved training program, and you want to make sure that it's board approved. And I'll tell you how to do that in just a minute. So there are programs that sound approved, maybe touch on some of the competencies, but it's a lot of work if you go through a program that's not board approved and you want to get board certified, because then you got to go through another program. So you want to find a board approved training program. Once you find that program, obviously you want to take it and successfully complete the program. So there are guidelines by the board, but the programs do vary a bit. So once you successfully complete that program, you're going to conduct 50 coaching sessions. And we talk about this in our program. So the board, by the time you take the exam, they want you to have coached. So when you take that exam, when you pass, not only do they know that you know the scope of practice, you know the skills and the theories and the ideas, but you've actually talked to clients, right? So we'll talk about that. So between the graduation of that program and when you apply for the board exam, you're going to conduct 50 coaching sessions. Then you're going to apply for the board exam, the NBHWC exam. Hopefully you study and then you pass, and then you become that credential, that national board certified health and wellness coach. So finding that board approved program, once you complete that, you conduct your 50 coaching sessions, apply for the exam. Once you pass that exam, you have that credential of NBC HWC. I'm gonna check the chat here. Do we get training to guided to study with a certain resource for diseases like autoimmune diseases or allergies that are becoming more and more prevalent? Or is this something we need to study on our own and can lead a list that are credible to study from? I know heart disease and diabetes are the biggest, and I understand those, but it's the others. Yeah, so we have in our program, we talk about what's in the content outline from the board primarily, because that's what you're going to be tested on. But we have a wellness library that includes things like autoimmune and women's health and men's health. So you can dive into that in our program. And then also continuing education units are always a good idea, a good place to kind of expand your knowledge. But we differentiate between really what's like the core to know for the exam, and then, what is something that you can dive into if it's your niche, your demographic, or you just want to know more about, that particular health challenge. Good question. So now that we know the process, let's talk about what to look for in a program. So you want to look for, like I said, an actually NBHWC approved program, not just inspired by or aligned with, right? You want something that's truly board approved. credentialed and experienced faculty who have coached and are experts in their field. It is really fun and cool and like Instagram-y and influency to have like big names sometimes as your instructors, but have they coached or are they just promoting the school, right? So it's really important to have, faculty that have coached because they've been in your shoes and they know what it takes to go from there to coach. Real coaching practice. So not just watching videos or writing papers. If you take a program where you have no live conversation or interaction with the faculty and you're just watching videos and filling out worksheets, I guarantee you it is not board approved because the live learning is part of the board approved process. So you want real coaching practice, not just because it's part of the board approved program, because you want to practice, right? Like we want you to leave the program. You should leave the program feeling good about talking to clients. Thoughtful feedback. So when you do that real coaching practice, are you getting feedback tailored to you from coaches, from faculty? So I've coached, I've played the coach, I've played the client, and now I'm going to get feedback custom to me. What went well and where are my areas of opportunity? Exam prep built in. So you're not scrambling in the end. Taking a program that you enjoy is great, but when you pivot to study for the board exam, you should feel ready. You should know everything that you need to study and then what to study, right? You put the time in. So exam prep built in is really helpful. Small cohorts, so you don't get lost in the crowd, and that sense of community and connection. So a lot of us, if we are going into health and wellness or going into health coaching, we're one of the only people maybe in our life, in our world, that's going into that kind, right? There's 330 million people in the United States and only 128,000 coaches and only 12,000 board certified coaches. So you can definitely feel isolated and on an island. Small cohorts, you get to connect with the people that are like-minded, and our graduates, are connecting on programs. They're referring to each other. They're, co-creating different, impactful programs. So it's really awesome. Accountability partners to have those small cohorts where you're not just a number, you're very much valued for what you bring to the program. And then support that sticks around after graduation. It's not just like a wave goodbye and like best of luck to you. So you want to look for a program that's supporting you after graduation, because arguably when you graduate, it's like when you need some of the most support, right? Like, what do I do now? And how do I get those calls? And when do I apply? And what are best practices? So you want to look for that. Again, what our coaches have said is we followed the NBHWC framework from day one. So nothing on the exam felt random or new. And that is key, because if you get to the exam, you're like, I've never heard of that. What are they even talking about? That's like totally new. That's not the experience you want. I got to ask questions, make mistakes, and learn in real time. That kind of support is rare, and I would agree with that. Those live calls saved me. I finally understood the stuff I kept second guessing. So the live interactive calls are such a key part of a program, because you get to ask those questions and get clarification, and breakout sessions and group discussions and role playing, and really putting it into action or giving it life. So what you want to ask yourself is, when you're looking at a health coaching program, is, when does it start? How long is the program? Can I attend the live calls? So you want to make sure it aligns with your schedule. What month does it start? How long is it? Am I available? Can I attend live calls? Because the live calls, again, are a key part of a board approved program. In addition, is the investment worth it and within my means? Is it affordable? Can I do it? Will I get actual coaching practice, not just content, as I talked about? Will I be part of a community or just a student in isolation? That's no fun to go through a program like that. Will I get the support I need? What if I have a question? Do I have access to the faculty, other students, or do I just need to kind of like wait around or, email kind of some generic support email address? And then what happens after graduation? Will I still have support? So this goes for kind of any programs you're considering. So let's ask those questions and let's answer some of those questions. So I want to talk about the Health and Wellness Coaching Program from the Institute of Holistic Integrative Studies. This is our board approved training program for health coaches. So who are we? So IHIS is here to help you cut through the noise and actually become a great coach. So everything we just talked about, that's what we do. I took my experience in, being overwhelmed, being confused, not really sure which path to take, going the wrong path, having to backtrack, go down the right path. And I've put that into not only this masterclass, but our program. So we don't just teach, we support, we challenge, we cheer you on every step of the way. We built IHIS to be different in the best way. So you won't be just another student falling asleep on Zoom. We don't want that. The live calls are engaging and interactive. Live group calls and self-paced learning. So it's a combination of self-paced learning, which you can do on your own time, if that's midnight on Sunday or 6 in the morning on Tuesday. And those live group calls to, again, have that connection and bring it all together. Small cohorts. There's never going to be more than 15 people in your group. Personalized support, because we have small cohorts, we can give personalized support. We know you, we understand you, we are happy to answer questions, we're available. Community and connection, again, because of those small cohorts. Real coaching hours with faculty feedback. So you get to coach and you get faculty feedback, just what you did. And we have a conversation about it so that you can ask questions as well. Exam prep included. I mean, practice questions, an exam prep module. We do always a free exam prep, just free workshop prior to all of the exam windows. So regardless of when you take your exam, you'll be invited to a free kind of like a refresher confidence builder. We have a real world starter kit for your coaching business, because it's great to know the skills. It's great to have the conversations, to know how to run a session. But if you want to be a coach, especially if you want to have your own business, we know it goes way beyond that. So we have things like templates for coaching agreements, client handouts, designing your program, creating your niche, letters to doctors, starting your business, marketing. We want you to be a successful coach. There is a gap, and a big gap, between those who go through a coaching program and those who actually coach. And we want to close that gap. If you go through this program, we want you to coach. You clearly want to coach if you've taken the time and the investment and the energy to put into a program. So we want to support you. So yes, we talk about the content outline. Yes, we prepare you for the exam, but we also support you in other ways. Postgraduate support. Again, rather than kicking you out, we invite you to stay connected, stay in our community. Basically, we're here to walk this path with you. We're here to hook arms with you and walk alongside you as you go through your path to becoming a health coach. I think it's needed. I think it's helpful. I think it provides results that are more beneficial and more successful. So that's IHIS. Oh, Sarah, I'll get to your question in just a second, but a really good question. So who is this for? I know we talked about who the masterclass is for, but who is this program for? So I mentioned the busy adult learner before, and I'm going to mention it again in more detail. So the busy adult learner is the busy adult who wants to learn. So just because you're busy, I don't think that means you shouldn't get the certification, the opportunity, the career that you want. So we've built this program for people that are busy with community and family and career and activities and basically life. But somebody who can dedicate time and effort to something that's a priority. So the busy adult learner who still can prioritize what they want. We meet and exceed the board criteria while being as flexible as possible. So our board approved health and wellness coaching program is streamlined, yet comprehensive. So it's an intensive program, but comprehensive, that was built around the NBHWC competencies. We took the content outline, every single competency that the board has provided, and that's what we built our program around. We had the luxury of doing that. There was a time where there were health coaching programs where the board didn't even exist. And so they built the best program they could. And then the competencies come along from the board and they had to kind of retrofit you know, square peg in a round hole. And we had the luxury of building it from the ground up around the competencies. So we designed our program to kind of accomplish two things. One, to prepare you for the board certification exam. And the second is to be confident, knowledgeable, and safe health coach. Pass the exam so you get that board certification, know how to coach clients. If you're not familiar with the content outline from the board, it is on the board website. So I'm going to put that in the chat just so you can check it out. That is what the board feels is important for a health coach to know. So that's what we teach. And we teach those percentages are the weight of the content outline and the exam. So they just tell you 25% of the exam is going to be on coaching presence, relationships, and sessions. So 25% of our program approximately is on coaching presence, relationships, and sessions. So we really match the content outline. So logistically, how this program works is it's 13 to 14 weeks. So it's 13 weeks of instruction plus an extra week for the exam. It's a mix of pre-recorded modules, again, that are self-paced. So it's recorded content, it's documents, it's a module quiz, that combined with interactive group live sessions. So you have time to do work on your own and you have time for live sessions. Structured coaching skills practice sessions. So again, opportunities to actually coach. Dozens of downloadable resources, everything from templates to worksheets to links to more information to articles to client handouts. Our next cohort begins the week of August 11th. And graduation is November, the middle of November. With this cohort, you would be eligible to sit for the exam in March 2026. Although you have up to 7 years to take it. Surprisingly, I think that's a long time. I wouldn't want to be 7 years separated from the material and take an exam, but you could. So you have the opportunity then to sit for or qualify for the March 2026 exam. If we break down what each week looks like, every Friday we release a new module. That following week, we have our live calls where we build upon that information. Thanks, Sarah. Yes, so we end the week of November 13th for live calls. The opportunities for our live calls, our live group calls for August are Tuesdays and Thursdays, noon to 1:30 p.m. Eastern. We do everything in Eastern time. Or Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So if you're a day person, if you're a night person, hopefully there is something that works for you. The live calls are recorded, but attendance is mandatory. So we do allow for some misses, but according to the board, right, in alignment with the board criteria, you do need to attend the live learning. In addition, you get 3 coaching skills practice sessions. We talked about that. Module self-assessments, so little quizzes to keep yourself on track. Online final exam that's similar to the board exam. As part of wanting to prepare you for the board exam, our final exam is written in the style of the board exam. So if you can do our exam, you can feel pretty good that you know how to read questions, you know how to understand what you're going to experience on the board exam. And I feel really strongly about that, that, you know, we do it very purposefully, very intentionally. We offer office hours, private Facebook community, and then a coach collective, which is our membership. So we have monthly labs to refine your skills, to level up your coaching practice, and you get access to that from the time you start the program for as long as you want. And then just to wrap up, so the benefits of the program are obviously preparation for the national board exam, being recognized by the medical community, which means being able to partner with doctors and licensed professionals. You can work with patients within the scope of coaching. You can also work with clients if you work on your own. Improve results with clients. So if you've coached before or you've had interaction with clients, you know, you're like, I'm doing all this good work, but I'm not seeing any results. They're not doing anything. They forget, they're not reading the handouts, right? So going through this program will actually help you just improve results with your clients if you already have them. applying for more job opportunities, ready to use documents, insurance codes, CPT codes. There are CPT insurance codes for health coaching, and more organizations, Medicare, the VA, are starting to reimburse for board certified health coaching. But in addition, you're eligible to take FSA and HSA funds. So flexible spending account and health saving account funds can be used for board certification. You don't get an NPI number, Jamie, once the exam has been passed. It works a little bit different. So at this point anyway, it's not an NPI number. Good question. So with that, I want to introduce to you the pricing. So $29.97, we have the option to pay in full or monthly payments as low as $250. One thing I want to note is that IHIS was recognized as one of the top 3 board-approved training programs for affordability, credibility, and efficiency. It's reasonably priced, you can get it done quickly, and it's accredited. So $29.97, we're one of the best values of all of the board programs. If you've done some research, you've probably not seen many prices lower than this. We believe in accessibility, which is also why we offer payments. So we partnered with Klarna to be able to make payments extend, up to 1 year. If you want to be a health coach, we want you to be a health coach. I want that to be accessible to you. I will die on the hill that everybody needs a health coach. And if everybody needs a health coach, we need a lot of health coaches. So if you want to be a health coach, we want to make that happen. And really, because I truly believe in accessibility and you're here, so something in you is pulling you towards health coaching, I want to give you an offer as if you enroll by midnight tonight Eastern. So in the next 3-4 hours, you can use the code READY500 to save $500 off. And that's whether you pay in full or you make payments. So I am going to put this link and code in the chat. So you have that. If you need to sleep on it, I honor that. Sometimes I need to sleep on things too. So if you need to sleep on it, you're not left out in the dust. You can use code Masterclass 300 to save $300, and that'll be good until tomorrow at midnight. So I'm going to put that code in the chat as well.
Got a question.
Yeah.
Could we do like a monthly plan for a couple of months and then pay the rest off, or how does that work?
That's a good question. I think so, but we partner with Klarna to do payments. So it would be something that you would be able to work out with them. But my understanding is you can. So yeah.
Okay.
Good question. Oh, thanks, Jamie. You can make additional payments at any time. So you could do, month, and then if you have, the funds to make larger payments, sounds like you could do that.
And the price is not changing if we're doing monthly payments. There's no higher price.
So it depends. So they have a couple of different options, and some are the same price, and some may be a little bit more. If you extend it, I think past a certain amount. This is a new partnership with us, but that's my understanding. Is there's actually a couple different options.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So with that, I wanted to just say thank you. Our contact information is hello@ihstudies.com. I think I've emailed you also, same email there. You can also give us a call. You can hop on our website at ihstudies.com. And then I wanted to make sure that I left time for Q&A. And Sarah, I'm going to go back to your question. So I was told I should buy the practice exam from NBHWC. Is that a good idea or necessary after your program? So you can, and we'll talk about different options for studying. So there's free study groups, there's free practice questions floating around, Facebook groups and things like that. The NBHWC practice exam can be a good idea if you really, really want a sample of the exam that was written by the people who are writing the board exam. So they give you the option now to do 5, I think, practice questions for free. So you can do those at any time. And then the practice exam, can be helpful if you just, it depends on how you study. Some people really just like, flashcards. Some people like to rewatch the videos. Some people like to take practice exams. So it kind of depends, but we do talk about all of the different opportunities for studying, paid and free, in our program. Did that help? Any other follow-up question? Oh, Jamie, Klarna has fees, but I paid a $3 fee for a $700 purchase. That seems really good, actually.
Yeah.
That's a deal. I'm like, can they finance our car? Yeah, that's a really good deal. Any other questions that anybody has that I, want to make sure that you walk away with all the information you need? Yes, Sarah.
Okay, so I'm just kind of trying to get like the book idea or stuff. So there's gonna be a lot of downloadable stuff. Will we have like something where we could go to Kinko's or whatever, UPS, print something out and have like a little book, or
Yeah.
because
So,
some of these other programs are offering textbooks that we need to buy and that sort of thing.
nothing is required.
Okay.
Nothing, once you purchase the program, that's it. I mean, unless you obviously want to print things, but no other textbooks are required. We do have a
Right.
couple of books that we recommend if you're going to go on to study for the exam that can be helpful, but nothing
Okay.
is required. With the printing, so what we do is most of the recorded content has accompanying slides. We also have module summaries. And so those can be things that you can print. And what we do for our live calls is we actually share them with you in 2 different ways. So one is all of the slides just as they are. And one of them is a printable version where you have 3 slides per page with a section for notes. So it makes it a little bit,
Nice.
we're
Okay.
not killing so many trees.
Right.
So we give them to you in a couple different ways.
Okay.
Yes. Jamie, yes, nationally recognized. Thank you for stating that or asking that. So this is nationally recognized, the board certification. So you may live anywhere and coach anywhere, which is different than, the licenses and the registrations where you tend to have to, work within your state. This is nationally recognized, and that would be for in-person or especially important for people who are seeing clients online or virtually. You can see them anywhere. Yeah, good question. Anything else? Insurance. Oh, how to take insurance, or do we need, yeah, good question. So there is yes, it's definitely recommended. I personally, I'll tell you, I use Alternative Balance, which is professional liability insurance. There's a few others that we talk about in our program. But it would just be like a business insurance. So, I mean, but Alternative Balance is specifically for the health and wellness field. So they do like coaches, yoga instructors, personal trainers, and things like that. So if they have specific programs like that, be yogi. Yeah. So there are more, I think the more the profession in the industry grows, the more specific insurance. It was a huge gap. When I went through my naturopathic doctor program, I don't know how 10 years ago, 12 years ago, it was really hard. It was really hard to find insurance because regular insurance companies are like, nope, won't touch it. And now there's more specialized insurance companies. I will say, I haven't made a claim. So I can't say how great they are, but it's very affordable. I think, for the year, it's under $300. So seems reasonable. Yeah, exactly. My fingers crossed.
And it's a tax deduction too.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And if you're a business, you want business insurance anyway. You want liability, professional insurance. So I'll happy to share those with you. As we go through the program, we talk about the business end of things.
And I guess would an LLC be required, or not required, but recommended? Because sometimes I get mixed bag on that.
Yeah, it's not
And not that it's
required.
very expensive. It's only like $100 in South Carolina, so it's super.
Yeah, it depends on where you are. When I was in California, it was almost $1,000. It was like
Oh,
$900
wow.
a year. And then when I was in Georgia, I think it was $150 to start and like $50 a year. So it really depends on where you are. My business coach highly recommends it, just so you split your personal and your business finances. If you can do it for such a low cost. Especially once you get outside of your warm market, I would say as a coach. If you're coaching, neighbors and coworkers and stuff like that, maybe you could slide by. But I think once you get out into the quote unquote real world, you'll definitely want to separate it. And it's really, like you said, it's very affordable and it's pretty painless. And tax write-off.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So yes. Any other questions? Any other pieces of information I could share with you before I bid you adieu? All right.
No, this is very helpful. Thank you.
I'm so glad I really truly was like, man, I wish somebody would have told me this when I was doing my search. I just think can be really confusing. And, Jamie, to your point of the misinformation that our clients are going through, it's almost that way for us looking for programs. Like you just don't know, I saw, actually, well, I'm going to show you because I just saw this today and I was like, I didn't have time to put it in the slides. But I saw today in just 20 days, you can become a certified functional genomics coach. I was like, oh no. So I don't know anything about the program. I was just like, wow, 20 days seems really, really short. So, with the board certification, it really does allow you, like people have certificates on their wall for doing like a 7-day, juice expert program or going to a weekend conference. So what is going to differentiate you as a coach from them, right? What is going to differentiate us from the weekenders, right? Or the 7-dayers or the 20-dayers. And I think that the board certification is really pivotal and at a very important time where we do have the opportunity to set ourselves apart as somebody who's like part of healthcare. We are caring for people's health in a very, I don't want to say standardized way in a bad light. I mean, this is what we bring to the table, minimum these standards, and then we can go and, off in our niche and our areas of expertise. So I think it's a really cool time to be a health coach and it's only going to get better. You will get the recording tomorrow. Any questions, let me know. I hope that this was helpful. I hope to see you in August. And like I said, any questions, please feel free to reach out and make sure that this is the best decision for you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jill. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Bye.
Oh, there we go. Right.
Okay. Very good.